So first start what exactly natural language processing is. So in that case, you can say whenever you look into the natural language processing, there are three major parts. So first part, you can say human language, from where it involved. Then second important part, the computer science, how to look into those human language, how to solve those their problems with the help of computer science. And the third and very important part, that is the AI, which comes into the picture, how to solve them without any human intervention. How to make the algorithm so that you do not need to involve any human intervention in between, and automatically understand the complexity of natural language. So these three areas once merged together, then you will got the NLP, right? So the major NLP task, you can say, the goal for us and goal for science domain, there are two different goals. One is the science goal, one is the engineering goal. So science goal, you can say, to understand the language behavior. Whenever someone speaks something, what is the behavior of that person, or you can say what they want to speak, what is the idea behind that speech, right? Or you can say what is the meaning behind that speech. That entire thing will go to the science domain, right? Those who are working on the speech part, right? Now there is an engineering goal. Engineering goal is saying how to make a system, or you can say how to make a complete system that can analyze, that can generate, so that the efforts of humans can reduce down. So let's see, if you remember in the previous days, whenever someone bought a product, in case of online shopping, whenever you bought a product, and if you want some complaint that you want to put into related to that system, then what you are doing, you are talking to the person directly, you are talking to a human directly. But nowadays, before talking to a human, first you are talking to a bot, and that bot able to understand your language, able to understand our language, whatever language we are using. Sometimes it is English, sometimes it is Hindi, sometimes it is mixed language, and many other language it understand and then answer their queries. Means the initially the person was there who was doing that job. Nowadays a computer or bot is there that is doing the similar job. So that is the way, that is the engineering goal. Like we want to reduce the efforts of human, and we want to reduce the gap between machine and the human. Both the things are there, right? So once you see what is NLP, right? So here, instead of I will say the dog, here the computer is there. One computer is sitting here, and you are talking to the computer with your language, like you can say English or Hindi or Punjabi or any other language. But this system, what this understand, it just understand binaries, right? So ultimately what it understand, whatever you will speak, if this person, or you can say this system, doesn't have capability to understand, then it will just understand blah 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 in case of dog. But in case of system, you can say it will understand only 0 and 0 and 0 1, but no sense of that information. So that's why we require to understand NLP in depth, right? So what is the goal for us? So the goal for us to understand these natural languages, not string processing. So NLP is not just string processing or keyword matching. This is not NLP, right? NLP is understanding those things as humans are able to understand. Whenever we talk to human, they understand properly. They understand the information behind that speech or information behind the text. So those capability we have to implement in the system. Now once we want to build a system, there are various categories. Whenever you want to build a system, so suppose you have simple system. So simple system, you can say spelling, grammar, syntax, syntax, is there. Then some complex system is there, like you can say speech recognition. Still we are working in that domain. Yes, I can say in case of English language there is a lot of work has been completed, but in case of other languages, let's take in Indian scenario. In case of Indian scenario, how much work has been done for Hindi, how much work done for the Punjabi, how much work done for the Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, Gujarati, and all those languages? Very few. So means still there are lot of works need to be done to make our system understand the current language. Now, slowly, as internet evolves, as the systems are evolving, you can say whenever we are going to more on social media, even they are not Hindi language, even they are not Gujarati language. Now they mix together, right? English is heavily mixed with the Hindi. We are sometimes we are writing in English, but actually what we are writing Hindi text. So these all things comes into the picture, and then NLP will become very complex task. Right? Similarly, we have another problem, that is machine translation, translating from one language to another language. Right? That is also a very big task that still need to be solved. You can say for few languages it is there, but not as efficient as humans. Right? They are targeting few well-known, widely used languages, but not for many of the languages. As we are reaching towards the low level, or you can say ground level, we need to solve for ground level person, those who doesn't understand English, those who doesn't understand these well-known languages. So how will reach these technologies to those levels? So we need to solve those kind of problems, or this is a machine translation problem. Similarly, information extraction, this is again not like heavily depend upon the domain. Suppose you have made a model, or you have made a system for online trading or online marketing domain. Then if you use the same system for healthcare domain, it is useless. So means as the domains are evolving, as you are targeting new domains, you require new system. You require new way for the information extracting, right? Similarly, dialogue interfacing, question answering. Question answering, it's like a very big task. Which domain you want, right? It till now there is no big system that can talk about any domain. Even if you look into the Alexa, and it happens like with us, whenever we talk to Alexa, there are plenty of questions. Alexa says, I don't know. What do you mean by that? Means there are still plenty of things that have a big scope for us, where we can work together, or you can work in that domain. Similarly, this is the most difficult task, human level comprehension. Like still, like a lot of big companies like IBM, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, they are working in that domain, and there is no foolproof system till now. So it is a really complex task, really very complex task. Now you can say, where is the application of this? Plenty of applications. Sentiment analysis. That is one of the very wide variety of application. Once you have given the review, how you will convert those review into the numbers? Then you require sentiment analysis, right? Similarly, rating analysis. Chatbot. We have already seen like chatbot is very famous. So before reaching to the actually human chatting, you are talking to the chatbot. If chatbot not able to solve, then only you go to the human. Speech recognition, very widely used task. Similarly, machine translation. So we already discussed those applications, and these applications is not limited. There are many variety of applications for NLP. So similarly, you can say opinion mining, one of the very important applications. As like today, there I think I don't know counting is over or not, the U.S. presidential counting. So I'm not following that. So means that will become. I think it's over or it's done. The result is there. Anyone following that? Okay, no one following. Great. But it has huge impact in on stock market. So if you are following the stock market, then you have to follow that as well. Okay, similarly, we have reputation management. Every company wants their reputation should be high, but how will manage it? Because nowadays the reputation is coming from the text which is in the social media, which is in the website, which is in the internet domain, right? So how you will maintain those information? Automatic system that will understand and tell you based on these all information related to your institute, your reputation is high, low, mediocre, and then you can pick the experts what you can do for that. Similarly, sentiment analysis, machine translation, text summarization, question answering, many areas are there where you can work together, and you can now if you look into these areas, these are not, so whatever task is done in these areas till now, most of them is focused on the English. What about Hindi? What about regional languages? Nothing. But when you go to the ground level, you require to work on those areas. So today we'll talk about that as well. If you really want to the local language, how you'll proceed with that, what should be the basic building blocks that you will require. So we'll talk about all those things. Now before jumping into that, let's understand what are the problems in NLP. What are the major issues in NLP? So the very first issue is the ambiguity. NLP domain is very ambiguous, or you can say your text is very ambiguous. Whenever you speak some sentences, these are ambiguous. So I'll give you some examples. Similarly, cross-reference resolution and ellipsis. So let's understand what these three things are, right? So ambiguity. Suppose you are talking about a chair. You have said chair. Now, what exactly meaning of this chair? Is really this person is the chair which is in the conference, or a chair where you are in the home and you are talking about the chair? Completely ambiguous. So means if you say just one word chair, then ambiguity is there. But if you are adding more information into this chair, then might be you will have a much better idea, right? So that we will understand how to solve these things. So if you look into the ambiguity, there are three different variety of ambiguity: lexical ambiguity, syntactic ambiguity, and referential ambiguity, right? So what are those things? So if you say lexical ambiguity, so you just take this example. She is looking for a match. Now, what exactly meaning of this match? Is she is unmarried and looking for a match, or she is in the kitchen and looking for a match? What is the meaning of this match? Right. So again, this is ambiguous. Even if you have a full sentence, then also match has ambiguous information. Similarly, the fisherman went to a bank. Now, what bank refer for? It is a river of bank of like a river bank, or it is a money bank. Which bank we are talking about? Not that information. So this is known as a lexical ambiguity. Similarly, there is a syntactic ambiguity. What syntactic ambiguity is saying? Just look into this sentence. The chicken is ready to eat. Sorry for non-vegetarian. For non-vegetarian, yes. The chicken is ready to eat. Now, the information what this sentence is saying, the chicken is ready for eating means you are going to eat, or chicken, the food for chicken is ready and chicken is going to eat their food. What is the information? Not very clear. So these kind of information or these kind of sentences have syntactic ambiguity. Then there is a referential ambiguity. Now referential ambiguity, the boy told his father about the theft. Sorry, it should be about the theft. Now he was upset. Now his father was upset or boy was upset. To whom this he is referring? To the father, or it is referred to the boy? Who is upset? Not very clear. So this is known as referential ambiguity. Now similarly, we have another big problem in NLP domain, that is cross reference resolution. So let's take one example here. It comes whenever you have sequence of sentences. So place the pen on the table, then paint it. Now, what it refer for? Is this it refer for pen, or this it refer for table? To whom it is referring? Not clear. So this is known as the cross reference resolution problem. And then there is a third major problem, that is the ellipsis. Now what ellipsis is saying, when you have sequence of command, then how you will interpret, how system will interpret what command is, because the second command or third command may be incomplete in if you look into the entire sentence. Suppose we have moved the table to the corner, that is first command giving to the robot. Now second command we are saying also the chair. As a human we can understand like chair also need to move to the corner, but how robot able to understand like this information required to complete this operation? So this is known as ellipsis problem, right? So I hope till this part it is clear to everyone. Any doubt till this part? Anyone? Anyone? Any doubt till this part? These are the three major problems in the NLP. Okay. Can I check the chat? Cool. So now let's move forward. So now once you look this NLP, entire NLP domain, there are three different views. One is the old view, that you can say classical view. Second is the statistical view or machine learning view. And third, that is the current scenario or current era, that is neural network view. Right? How neural networks solve. So in all three views, or let me say, these are three generation of NLP. First generation was the knowledge engineering generation, the very base of NLP, where we are developing handcrafted systems. We have handcrafted features, and those features will be developed by the expert, and then you write the rules. And then once you want to automate, you will write a if else program. If rule 1, if rule 2, else something, something, something. And then you have the entire system with you. That is one way, or this is the old way of dealing the NLP problem. Then second era came, that is the automated way, or you can say we have trainable machine learning models. So in that domain, you can say you have some features, so you have the entire text, and from the text you have some features, so you have to do feature engineering. You have to extract the features, and based on those features you are applying some machine learning task, right? And based on that you will have some final output, or you can say solutions of your problem. Now, once deep learning, or you can say neural network architecture, comes into the picture, then you do not need to do feature analysis. Wow. Means you do not need an expert to do the feature analysis. What we required a lot of data. If you have a lot of data, then you can do all the tasks or most of the tasks that is done by the previous era. And without doing feature engineering, without creating handcrafted system, or you can say without creating handcrafted rules. So we'll see like what how exactly we'll do it, right? So these are the three different era. First era, that is related to the handcrafted features, or you can say handcrafted rules. Then second era, that is the machine learning, but over there you have to like work with the expert and find out the most suitable features that will be extracted from the text. But the third era, or you can say the current era, is saying you just require a lot of data. If you have a lot of data, model itself will understand the features and will do that job, right? So as I say, as I said, like you require a lot of data. Now what this data is, so in NLP domain, this data is known as the corpus. We required a very very big corpus to solve the problems. Now you can say what corpus contains. So corpus contains, so the very basic unit of corpus, you can say characters. If you combine those, it will become words. If you combine those, it will become sentence. It will combine those paragraph, documents, and so on. Right. So this is the corpus. Right. This is containing lot of text, lot and lot of text. Right. So now, how you represent it? So the very important thing, what this corpus or what a word is representing. We need to feel it. We need to understand it, what exactly word meaning. Right. So meaning means, so that is the idea. What I want to say, you can say that is coming from the words. What words we are using, that is coming from there, right? Similarly, the word is giving the writing, or suppose you have written, you have a lot of text that is written and that you are reading. Suppose you are reading a novel. So once you read the novel, these words will give you a feeling back. These words will give you a thought process. These words will, with the help of those words, you can create an image, or you can create an entire picture. So that is the power of word, right? And that power is inside those corpus, because corpus is nothing. These are the big word, you can say combination is there. So now one big thought, we can say this word is giving those many information, but how system understand those things? right? That is really important. How system understand, because system understand only binaries, only the numbers. It doesn't understand the characters, it doesn't understand the words, it doesn't understand the sentences. If you look into the system, it just understand the numbers, right? So at the end it has only numbers, so means you required some way to understand those numbers. Now if you look into the new domain, so these words are not only limited, there are a lot of new words coming with the technological development. So let's look into few words. For example, justify. Now there is two meaning of justify. If you are working in the MS Word, then justify is a different meaning. And if you are talking to someone or you are in the in the courtroom, then justify is a different meaning, right? That is one thing. Then on the top of it, so this justify, second justify, which is coming with the MS Word, it is coming because of the technology, because of the technological development. Similarly, Xeroxed might be till that part when photocopy machine is not there, this word doesn't exist. But nowadays, this word has some meaning. You are saying, please do the Xerox. But actually, Xerox is a company. But that is coming from the technology domain. Similarly, digital trace. That word was never exist in the system, but it coming today because you are working in the digital domain. You are working, you are surfing a lot of website, you are surfing a lot of apps, and your system, or you can say mobile phone, is making your trace. Similarly, communication, maybe many of you heard this term first time, but you are practicing it lot of time, right? Communication, pretend to talk on mobile when you are actually not. So we are in some meeting and we want to go out for tea or some other purpose. Then what you will pretend? You will pick your mobile. Okay, someone calls is there. Then suddenly you put phone and go out. So this is the terminology coming communication, and this is always come with the mobile phone. If mobile phone is not there, then maybe communication is not there. Similarly, there is another very interesting term, that is discombobulation. Might be you have heard this term first time, discombobulation. What exactly it means? Suppose you want to search something and you are not have a access of internet, but you want to use it, right? Then what discomfort coming from that, that is known as discombobulation. So these all words coming from the technological development. Because of the technological development, these new words are coming, and we need to understand because they are in use, right? So we need to understand those words as well, and that will make NLP task more complicated because new words are coming again and again and again, or every day new words are adding. Like, so any doubt till this point? Anyone, guys? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Cool. Actually, I do not have chat access in front of me, so if you can speak, then it's well and good for me. So now we got to know, like we reach to the word level. What word is? Word represents some meaning. Word represents some information. Now the important thing, how system will understand those words, how computer will understand those words. So there is one very common solution, that is the word net. Like, and why we want to understand those? Because suppose you are writing something, so suppose you are you want to utilize those words, so you have to convert those words into some different form. Suppose you want to find out the synonyms of the word. Suppose you want to find out the hypernyms of a word. So then this dictionary will help you out. And this wordnet is developed by lot of efforts from various person. They have added continuously, they are adding words over there. But again, a big challenge is really, this is up to the mark. Every day, one person or even thousands of person need to sit in the system and adding the words, because every day new words are evolving. So in order to make it complete, it will become very difficult to make it updated. That is the problem with the WordNet. Right? So the real challenge with the WordNet, you can say, it is great resource but missing the nouns. What exactly mean? Suppose you are saying listing the synonyms of good, and they are saying proficient. Is really both are actually same thing? Suppose you have two persons in front of you, and one person you are saying you are good, and another person you are saying you are proficient in this task. So we understand that nouns is missing in the word net. That feeling is missing in the word net, right? Similarly, if you have, right, so this new words, new meanings need to be updated. That's why I'm saying like impossible to update. Very, very difficult. Lot of words are evolving. Most important, it is subjective. Subjective in terms of the experts who are adding those words. They are subjective to their knowledge, right? And require a lot of human labor to create and adopt those things. And most important, this one, it cannot compute the accurate word similarity. Like this word is similar to second word. And suppose you are saying in an LP domain, you have to find the machine translation. In case of machine translation, you need to know the similarity. Suppose you have one sentence which is written in a different wording and another sentence which have different words, but their meanings are same. So in order to that, once you compute the similarity between these two sentences, that should be very high. But that is not available in the WordNet. So the question is, how we can solve NLP problem if those things are missing? So let's understand the very first thing, the word representation itself. First of all, we need to understand how we'll feed those words into the system. How we'll feed these information into the system. So one way to feed that information is the localist representation. What is localist representation is also known as one hot vector. You have a one hot vector. Now what one hot is saying, suppose you are talking about restaurant and you are talking about a dhaba, right? So you say you have a list of words. Suppose this list of words contain 1 million word, right? Now from, you can say from A to Z, Z something, right? All words are there. So definitely each word has one location. And suppose you are talking about dhaba, and suppose your dhaba is available somewhere here. So this location will become 1 and remain all will become 0. That is known as one hot encoding. Similarly, if you say restaurant, suppose you have another vector for restaurant. So the place where restaurant is there, let's say this one, so this will become 1 and remain all will become 0. So that is known as one hot encoding. So cool, we got some way. So you can feed this vector in place of text, right? So you have a way so that you can feed this information to the system, right? You have a technical style, or you can say you have a system where you can feed this information, right? Now let's see, is really it is good or there is some problem in this, right? Most one more important point, what should be the dimension of this? The dimension of this vector will be depend upon how many words in the vocab. Suppose you have 5 million words, then this will be 5 million size. If it is a 10 million words, then it will be 10 million size for every word, right? So it contain suppose this contain 5 million words, the entire vocab, and I want to represent this sentence, this entire sentence I want to represent, and I will take one and hot separately in this moment. So then you have one vector of one 5 million size for word, then you have another vector for can, you have another vector for be, you have another vector for represent, and so on. So you have these much size. So you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the size of this vector will be 7 cross 5 million. If you want to represent this sentence, if you want to represent once this sentence, the length is 7 words, then the size will be 7 cross 5 million. So that size of matrix you will be required to represent the word, right? So this is one hot vector. But the good point, at least we have a way to represent the words. Why it is not a very big problem to represent this? Because only one place is 1 and remain all places 0. So you can say it is look like a sparse matrix. There are only one place is 1 in the entire 5 million values and remain all 0. So this will become a sparse matrix. And there are a lot of experiment already done in the computer science domain to deal with the sparse matrix. So you can utilize that, right? But let's understand what is the problem in this discrete symbol. Once you represent in one hot vector, what is the biggest problem that we need? So storage is a problem, but not that big. The bigger problem is something else. So let's understand that. Suppose you are searching in the web search, you are searching nearby restaurant. Suppose this query you are putting. Now, once you search for nearby restaurant, so what you expect? If there is a nearby dhaba, that will also come into the picture, right? That will also come into the search result, right? So now, if you say that, right, and if you use one hot encoding, then these two should have some connection. These two have, like, if you do some mathematical operation between them, then there should be some connection. But if you are saying dhaba, there is one here, and if you are saying restaurant, one here. And if you want to let's say if you want to connection between these two, that these two are matching or not, so you will do simple dot product. Now, once you do dot product, what we'll get? We'll get all zeros. It means there is no relation between dhaba and restaurant. Simply. But actually, no. There is a relation between dhaba and restaurant. So, these one hot vectors are orthogonal in the nature. If you do the dot product, then what you will get? You will get zero. Means it represents there is no similarity between these two hot vectors. Means this is missing the similarity point, and that was the problem of WordNet as well. Means we are, till now we are able to represent it, but still how we represent the similarity, that is completely missing in the system, right? So let's understand how we can do it, right? So solution, can we try WordNet, so list of and get the similarity? No, again, because WordNet have some issues. So but this will fail, like this is incomplete. So what we can do? So instead of that, we need to learn the similarity of these vectors automatically, right? Now question came, how to learn the similarity? How we'll find out like this word is similar to second word? That is a big question in front of us. So in order to represent the word, we need the context of the word. And once we say context of the word, it is not coming from that individual word only. It required the complete sentence, or you can say it required the nearby information. What word is this side? What word is this side? Once we club them together, then only we will get the context, right? And in order to represent that, we can represent this system with the distributional semantics. Means previously we are showing the one hot encoding. Now we are saying instead of representing in one hot, we will give some features, and those features will have some value, right? And in that way, you are able to represent the word which contain the feature of the word, and that feature has their nouns. These features have their meaning, or you can say these features have their actual context available over there, right? So what will be the way to represent that feature? So let's say, let's look into one example. Suppose we are talking about walking. Walking works the major muscular muscles of your leg. That is one meaning of walking. Now, second meaning is saying walking street Pattaya. This is the very famous point in the Thailand. So means this walking is talking about the work, and second walking is talking about the place. Now, walking in the air is a song. So means this is talking about a song, that is walking in the air, right? So this is a song. So means then we have same word, but if you look into the nearby place, then only you can say what is the meaning of this walking. And this information we have to create. So means the representation of walking should representation based on the context word. Whenever we are going to develop the distributional semantics, we need nearby words to understand the context of the word, right? So still question still remains same, how to represent it. We understand, okay, we require nearby words to represent represent a particular word in distributional semantics, but how we develop them, that is still remain unanswered, right? So the way we can develop it, that is the, like, you will develop a vector. You will develop a vector, and this vector is known as word embedding, or sometimes it is known as word representation, and that is the distributed representation. So walking, instead of this walking is not represented by a value 1 or zeros, that will be represented by a vector. Now this vector, you can say feature vector of this walking, and these features contain the context, right? So in that way we have to represent every word, right? Now the question is how we will generate those words, how we'll generate those feature vectors, how will, like, how will engineering them so that we will have the feature vector of a word, right? So if you look into, and let's understand how good these are. Once you are able to generate those feature vectors, or you can say distributional semantics, you can see the words which are close in terms of context, they are close to each other. If you will plot them, they are close to each other. So you can say LG, oven, refrigerator, microwave, geyser, they all are close to each other. Why they are close to each other? Because they are all are belong to the kitchen, right? Even kitchen is far from here, but these all equipments, electronics equipments, belong to the kitchen, so that's why they are close to each other. Similarly, you can say fan, light, LED bulb, they are also close to each other. If you look into here, charger, battery, they close to each other, right? So this will give you a feeling. Words which are close to each other, once you represent in the graph, they will find they are actually close in the dimensions as well. They are close in the representation as well. Definitely, in order to plot this graph, you need to convert high dimension to low dimension in two dimension, then only you can plot it, right? But once you plot it, you will get that information. And or you can do, if you want to plot it, you can do like principal component analysis, and then you can easily plot those information, right? Now let's understand from where this context is coming. How we'll generate those word embedding, right? That is really, really important, because if you understand those concepts, then you can apply for any regional language, anyone. Just you need a big corpus for that. So let's understand how to represent it. So this we already discussed, the iteration based method, right? So what iteration based method is saying, that is word to vec. So let's understand what is word to vec. It is not that dictionary that we have talked about. Word to vec is a framework, and this is coming from the Google. Very, very popular at that their moment, at that time, right? So what we required, we just required very, very large corpus that we required to complete or to forming the feature vector or word vector, right? This is a very popular library from the Google. There is another popular library is the Glove, that is coming from the Stanford. But the making of those word to vec or Glove is somehow similar, right? So let's understand how to make that word to vec. Suppose you want to make for your own language, so we have to understand the process of that, right? So we have a large corpus that is required. Now what you will do, you will go to every word in fixed length of vocabulary, right? Then next what you will do, you will try to predict the center word where context word is given, right? And use the similarity of the word vector to find out the to find out the center word where other o represent the context word. If your context word is giving, then you are trying to find out the center word. Now let's understand this in terms of figure, in terms of diagram, then it will be much easier. So let's look into this. What exactly we want? We want to predict this center word while these are giving. We have four words are giving. We have four words, two words before the center word, two words after the center word, and we are trying to generate the center word, right? And if we are able to generate the center word, then it means the representation is good, right? So how exactly this is working, how exactly this process works, and how it will take care the context here, right? So if you look into the entire corpus, suppose it is a 10 GB corpus or 20 GB corpus which contain only text, it is start from the beginning, So suppose you have fixed a window size of 5. Is start from the beginning. It will start predicting the center word while these you can say these four words are given to you. But in the initial development, you have to convert into the one hot vector so that you can feed into the system, right? So you have one hot vector for problem, one hot vector for Turing, one hot vector for into, one hot vector for banking, one hot vector for crisis. Now we will feed the system, feed into the neural network, and then what will happen, this neural network will multiply with the weights, and then we'll try to predict the center word. So let's understand what exactly neural network will be look like. So let me go to this diagram. This will give you a very good representation. So here we have this weight matrix. These all are the weight matrix. So this is look like a simple neural network. Simple neural network, right? What is in this neural network? There is a one input layer, one hidden layer, one output layer. Very simple neural network. I think you already gone through the neural network, right? Now what this neural network is saying, it contains only three layers, one input, one hidden, one output layer. Now what input layer is saying, input layer is representing the context word, right? So in case of previous example, suppose you are saying in this example, so here problem is one context word, Turing is one context word, banking is one context word, and crisis is another context word. So what you will do, you will feed problem here. Now once you want to feed it, you have to feed in terms of one hot vector. So the one hot vector of problem will feed here, then one hot vector for the Turing will feed here, right? Similarly, one hot vector for the banking will feed here, and one hot vector for the fourth value, you can say crisis, will feed here, right? So you have all one hot vectors. Now what you will do, you have this weight matrix. So initially you start with the random weights. Now the important point, this weight matrix, same for this, same for this, same for this. Actually it is just representation. What exactly happened? We are taking this one vector at a time. You multiply first, second vector, multiply with the same matrix, third vector, multiply with the same matrix, fourth vector, multiply with the same matrix, and then here you will sum all of them. So means you have the same weight matrix here. So initially you start with the random weights. Now what you want to predict? What we want to predict? So in this particular point, you will decide how many features you want to extract from that vector or for that particular information. How many features we want to extract. So you can say, I want 300 dimension feature. So this size will be 300. Suppose you want 200 dimension, this will become 100 dimension feature. If you want 50 dimension, you will get 50 dimension feature here, and those many nodes will be there. Now what we want next, you have another weight vector, right? And you will multiply with this feature vector, and you try to generate here. What you will try to generate, you will try to generate the probability value, right? The probability value you will generate. So you can say in this part you have simple softmax, right? And what this softmax will do, it will generate the probability value, right? Now once you got the probability value, you have the original one hot vector for the center word. Suppose your original one hot vector is this, right? And you will get the probability value. So can you compute loss between them? Here we have probability. We already seen this in the softmax in the previous sessions. Here we have the probability, and here we have one hot vector. So what you will do, you will simply compute the loss, and based on this loss you will update the weights of this, update the weights of this. So once you will done the entire training, so this is like one phase, right? Now in the second one, like you can say, once you feed the second input, your system will shift. Now you will try to predict the banking where Turing, into, crisis, and as is available. So once you complete this entire process of predicting the word with this way, then what exactly these vectors will do? So once you feed problem during banking crisis, it will predict the into. Once it is trained, it will predict the into. Means whatever embedding you got here, that is able to generate the into word. That has capability to generate the into word. And once you say this embedding has able to generate the Turing words, it means if you will multiply into this one hot vector of into with this weight vector, then automatically this embedding is able to generate the entire context, because in order to generate into, you have the context value here. So into is not coming only one time. If you look into the entire corpus like 10 GB, 20 GB, very, very big Wikipedia corpus and other corpus, into is coming plenty of times. So means once you complete the process, your system will able to know the context of into. Once you feed the value here, then automatically based on these values, it will generate the word vector for into, or you can say embedding for into. Is it clear? Because this is really very important. This is the very basic building block of the NLP whenever you deal with the deep learning. Any doubt on this? Anyone?
No, sir.
Cool. So now we have word vector available with us, right? So this is the way how you can generate a embedding for any language. Just you required huge amount of corpus. If you have huge amount of corpus, you can generate embedding of that, right? So let's understand step by step process. What is the engine behind that? You have you have entire vector available here, right? Now what we'll get embedding from here. We will take average of that. Why we required average? Suppose you have size of 10 values, or you can say context of 10 values. So means you have sorry, 11 values. So you have 5 value the left side, 5 value right side. So you have to combine them together. So once you combine them together, you will generate the score. That is the final score that we are talking about here. And this score will go to the softmax and it will produce the probability. Once you got the probability, you will simply use the log loss, and with the help of loss, you will try to update the weights. So finally, once entire training is done, you will have a weight matrix, right? And what is the beauty of this weight matrix? You will pass a one hot vector here, right? And this one hot vector, this matrix will give you the context of this vector, whatever context is given, or you can say embedding of this vector. So suppose your one hot vector is 5 million dimension, 1 cross 5 million, and your embedding is 300 dimensions. You are able to reduce this entire thing into 300 dimensions along with the features value of this vector, or features value of this word what you are passing here. So this will be the beauty behind the word embedding. Instead of representing by one word, you are able to represent the context of word, right? Now before jumping into that, what exactly it will do, how it will be useful. So let me take one example. Suppose here you are saying king and queen, and here you are saying man, and this is the fill in the blanks that you have to fill. So as a human, it is quite obvious that should be woman. But how system understand? So you will take dot product, you will take embedding of king, you will take embedding of queen, you will take embedding of man, and what you will do, the embedding of this. So you can say this is the filling the blanks. So you can say filling the blanks information. So FP is equal to embedding of king plus embedding of queen minus embedding of man, and you will get the embedding of FP, and you will compare it, and you will get embedding, close embedding of woman. That is the beauty behind the embedding. So means you have that feeling, or you have that context available in the embedding which was not available in the one hot encoding. So that is the beauty behind the embedding. Like, so this is one way. Say second way, like one continuous bag of words was one way to develop the embedding. Second is the skip-gram model. What skip-gram model is saying, you have input of center word and you want to generate the context word. So this input is available, center is available, and you have to generate the context word. That is one way of training. So you can choose either continuous bag of word, or you can choose skip gram model, or you can choose both of them, right, to train the embedding part, right? So this is the way how you can generate the embedding. Means you have a word and their representation in the form of embedding, right? Now let's understand few problems, few well-known problems in the NLP domain. So the very first problem that is very popular, that is named entity recognition. So how to solve this problem, named entity recognition? So in that problem, we have to find out or classify the names. So first, if your sentence is given, you have to find out the names. And name is represented as a location or organization or person. So suppose you have one sentence that Viswas Nagar constituencies development suffered under BJP, says Kejriwal. That information is given to you. Now, what you want to find out first of all which are named entity, and then what are those named entity? Either their location or their organization or their person, right? That information we have given. Like we have to extract. Similarly, if you look into the second example, meet Arvind Krishna, new IBM CEO, who is latest South Indian to head global IT company. So means first of all you have to find out this is the new named entity recognition. IBM is the named entity recognition. South India is the named entity recognition. So this you have to find out, right? And based on that, you will say this is the person, this is the location, this is the organization. So these all things you have to extract. So in that problem is known as named entity recognition problem. Now you can say where it is utilized. Named entity recognition is heavily utilized in various domains. Like if you are tracking information filtering, or if you are working with the information linking, or you are working in many classification tasks where pre-processing is required, or you are working for the summarization, then this named entity recognition is really very important task that is need to be solved. So let's understand how we'll do it, right? So what problem in this named entity recognition? That is the ambiguity problem we already seen in the first example. So here we have one more example to understand. So here Subhash Chandra Bose was an Indian nationalist whose defense patriotism made him a hero in India. So now here Subhash Chandra Bose is the person. Now second place, it is saying Prime Minister Narendra Modi today inaugurated the Subhash Chandra Bose Museum. Now, this is not the person we are saying here. This is the organization we are talking about. Subhash Chandra Bose Museum here, right? Similarly, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Road is an important thoroughfare dash dash dash. So means Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Road means you are talking about the location, right? So that is the ambiguity in the system that we need to understand. We need to solve, right? Similarly, there are many other examples. For example, Akash. It is the name or it is the sky. Very confusing, especially in Indian language. So there are plenty of such examples, right? So what exactly we want to solve in named entity recognition? These are the very famous type, or you can say tags. So we want to look into the person, we want to look into the location, we want to look into the organization, and someone is the miscellaneous product, like some specific product word or some work we are looking for. So these all comes into the named entity recognition problem. So can we solve this named entity recognition with the neural network? And if we can solve this with the neural network, how we can form the architecture, how we can formulate our problem so that we can easily solve this with the help of neural network, right? So let's understand that. Suppose in this sentence, I want to classify, right? Simple classify this Paris as a named entity recognition, just binary classification. I want here to say in this entire word, Paris should be named entity recognition or it should be NER. right? So simply if you understand this, then you can simply add a softmax to say not only NER, it will be the location as well. So what is the idea here? I will feed this information into a neural network, and we are targeting the center word. Is the center word is the NER or not? The binary class classification is the center word is NER or not, right? So what we require, you will simply feed this information, this embedding of these words, and then pass through the network. So how exactly it will look like? So suppose you have embedding, or you can say input of these words, you convert into the embedding, and then we are trying to find out the center word, is this is belong to location or not, right? So what we'll do here, you simply pass this embedding into one vector. So you have one vector which contain the entire sentence. We have entire sentence. Now our target point is only the center word, right? So we have passed this entire word, and then you have a simple neural network. So you can say these are all connected. So you have a simple neural network, and finally you have a binary output, right? You have done simple dot product and you will get the binary output. Now with this binary output, if your output is greater than, suppose you have put it a softmax layer, if output sigmoid layer, not softmax, if you have put a sigmoid layer, so if your output is 0 point greater than 0.5, then you can say it is belong to the location, and if it is less than 0.5, then this is not belong to the location. So what we have done, we simply made a system where you pass a window of 5 words, right? And these 5 words feed into the system and give a prediction of the center word. Is the center word is a location or not? Now suppose instead of saying only location, I want to predict, or I have another multi-class classification problem, that is this is NER or not? So yes or no. Is this is NER or not? Then second, it is a location. This is a person. This is an organization, or this is a you can say this is a miscellaneous. So I have changed the problem. Now instead of one node, I have 5 nodes available. Now what you will do, you will simply use the softmax layer at the end, right? So if, so first you will say yes or no. If yes is there, then only you are looking for this, right? So can we do it with the softmax? Is it possible or not? Or we need to do some modification? What do you think? Anyone? Okay, some message. Possible, right? So it is possible, but there is one challenge. Let me give you the challenge. Suppose you are using softmax here. Suppose you are using softmax here, and the property of softmax, only one place will be more than 0.5, remain all will be less than 0.5. So if you include this yes and no here, and if it is yes, then we are saying we will consider this. But if yes is there, means this is greater than 0.5, then this cannot be greater than 0.5. Not possible in case of softmax. It means what we required a different system. We required a different system. Why we required a different system? Because one part should be say yes and no, and second part, if yes is there, then only you will look into this. So means you required a two-step system. One step will look is this is a named entity recognition or not. That is the first. And second, you can say if it is not there, then you will not worry about that. But on the top of it, we can, is there any possibility? Yes, we can utilize this system as well. So means it is up to you how you want to organize your architecture. You want to organize in two step, or you want to organize in one single step. So if you want to organize in one single step, you will use the softmax. And if you want to organize in two step, then you will use the combination of sigmoid and softmax. And there is a good possibility like one of them will be much better. Definitely in case of computationally complexity, this will be better, but in case of performance, there is a good chance this will be better, right? So in that way, you can organize your architecture, right? Why this is also possible? Why this is also possible? Because if you remember, suppose you are doing a simple classification problem, then there is one class of background. If you look into the image classification, where you are classifying cat, you are classifying dog, and other, and there is one classification problem, that is the background. Means there is no object. So means this will refer similar to this problem. There is no NER, and if NER is there, then others will be high, right? So instead of saying yes and no, I will say only no. There is nothing like yes and no. Yes and no is possible in this architecture, but if you are using sigmoid, you will say one class, that is no, and rest of the classes are there, and miscellaneous. Now you can solve this into the simple softmax way. Any doubt on this? Guys, any doubt? Anyone? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So any doubt here?
No, sir. No, sir.
Is like participant are able to understand, or it's really like I'm really fast or slow? Please give
No,
the
sir.
feedback.
Understanding. No problem.
Okay, great. So let's move forward. So we have used a simple neural network where you feed the input, you have a weight matrix here that will do the dot product and simply compute the final layer. And in order to update, you will simply use the gradient descent way to update the weights, where j of theta will be your loss function. Right? Now, let us understand one more very big problem or very important problem, that is the language modeling. Right? So let's understand what is language model and how we can utilize the recurrent neural network to solve this language model problem. So what language model is saying, language model is the task to predict the next word while few words are giving. Means you are filling the information what is missing over there. So suppose when the is given, then you are able to predict the student. Once the student is given, you are able to predict the opened. Once the student opened is given, you are able to predict the there. And once you have entire sentence, you are trying to predict one of them, that is books will be there or laptops will be there or exams will be there or minds will be there, that we are trying to predict, right? If you want to look into this problem in the way of mathematics, it will be look like this. You are trying to predict the probability of next word while previous words are giving. So what will be the probability of next word? And that is known as the language model. You are trying to create the language. You are trying to create the sentences with the help of language model. And this is heavily used in many places, right? So let us understand how exactly we can create this language model and how neural networks comes into the picture, right? So you can say the a very famous example, whenever you type something, it automatically give you the suggestions. Whenever you google something, it automatically give you the suggestion. Even when you write email today, it automatically give you the suggestions, right? So those all things comes from the language model, and you are using it every day, right? Similarly, this what is the, now they will give you the suggestions what exactly you want. Now once it give the suggestion here, they have some probability available, and there are like many things in the backend. This is also depend upon the your search history as well. So then they will give highest probability to the weather. That's why it is the first result. Lower than that is the meaning of life. And this is depend upon the language model, as well as it is depend upon your own search history, like what you have searched. So now the question is how we can make this language model, how to learn the language model, right? So in order to learn the language model, first we have to, if we are able to fix the length of input, suppose we have fixed the length of input is 4, then this is known as n-gram language model, right? So that n is number of words that you are feeding to the system. So that will become n-gram language model, right? So if you say unigram means you are passing only one word at a time. If you are saying bigram, you are passing two words at a time. If you are saying trigram, you are passing three words at a time. And that then once you pass three words, you will try to predict the fourth word. So that is n-gram language model, right? So how this n-gram language model is working? Ultimately, if you look into the mathematics behind that, how exactly it will be look like, you have t words, or you can say, you can see this, you have previous t words, and you want to predict probability of the next word. So means you can say it is simply conditional probability that we want to predict. Conditional probability of the next word based on the previous word. Now the question came, from where you will get this probability? What is the way to get the probability? So very simple way, the easiest way is the counting. You can produce the probability of counting based on the counting, right? So how exactly we'll do, we have counting of the previous words, or you can say the next word that we are targeting, and then previous word, how many times this sentence is occurring. So let me give you one example. So suppose you have taken this sentence and you are taking 3-gram model, right? So 3-gram, you have students opened there. These three words are available. So now you will make condition on these three words. So student opened there, how many times this student opened there appear in the entire corpus? Third counting is required, right? So suppose this student opened there is appear 100 times in the corpus. Now the second counting that required here. So the second counting is saying, this is just one example, like is after students opened there, how many times books appear? And let's say it appear 400 times, right? So then the probability of books while giving the condition on students opened there, that will become zero point 0.4, right? Now second, suppose you have taken the second word, that is student opened there, exam. So exam, that will occur 100 times, right? So in that case, what will happen, the probability of this will become 0.1. Similarly, suppose we are saying student opened there and we are saying fox, and this never appear in the system, right? So in that case what we will do, we will simply say the probability of counting, because this counting is 0, so the probability will become 0. So similarly you will compute the probability of all the words, and which have the highest probability, that will be predicted here as the next word. Any doubt till this point? This is the n-gram model, simple n-gram model, where you are doing the counting of the words with the help of counting. Any doubt till this point, anyone? Okay, so now can we solve this problem with the simple neural network? Very simple neural network. Ultimately, at the end, in this point, we have to find out the probability. What is the probability of individual words that is coming the next, right? So now what we can do, we can simply pass the same sentence into the neural network. Now once you pass the sentence neural network, here we have weight matrix, here we have output matrix, and this output matrix, you can say, is representing the weights, right? So let's look into this. Here we have input, you can say one odd vector, and then it will give the embedding. You have a weight matrix that will multiply or do the dot product in the embedding, and this u will be produced, right? Now what you will do, you will take this u and produce the, and you will produce this. What you will produce, you will simply produce the softmax. So you will pass it to the softmax, and once you pass it to the softmax, what exactly you will get, you will get the probability of each word which is available in the corpus, right? Now once you get the probability of each word, the beauty behind softmax, one word will be more than zero point 0.5, the probability of one word will be more than zero point 0.5, then automatically that word will be the next word. So in that way, you can introduce the neural network, right? Now, here we have one challenge. One challenge is the fixed window size. Is really, it is always true that if you have last 4 words or 5 words or 10 words, then you are able to predict the word? No, there are some examples, right? So let me give you some examples here. So what is the challenge here? That is the fixed window. And what should be the maximum window, that is still unknown, right? Right, so these are the major problem. So it means you should have some mechanism that will not based on this fixed window, that can process any length of window, any length, whatever length you will give, that is able, that your system will be able to process it and produce the final word. So in order to introduce this, we have a new idea that is known as recurrent neural network. Now, what recurrent neural network is doing? Suppose you have input sentence. So you are passing X here. Here we have weight matrix, right? This weight matrix will multiply with the input and it will produce two outputs. One output is the current output, that is the optional, not always compulsory. And it will produce another output that will pass to the next layer. Now here you will feed the second word. So means once you are processing the second word, you have information of second word along with the first word. Now again move forward, and the beauty here, the weight. You can check out the weights. These weights are always same. Actually, this is look like this. This is look like this, where these weights are always same. Means the weight which are here, 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 they are always same. Means if you flat it, suppose your sentence length that you want to feed is 5, or let me say 4, then you have 4 version here. Suppose your length is 5, then you have another one here. Suppose your length is 3, so you have only 3 words here, and the output, this will be the final output for you. So in that way, your recurrent neural network able to solve the problem of inputting any length. So now you can feed any number of length and you are able to solve the problem, right? So how exactly it will look like? It will look like you have a weight. First you have feed the, it will process it, then it will pass to the next layer. Then here you have student as an input, it will pass to the next layer. Here you have opened as an input, it will pass to the next layer. Here you have their input, it will pass to the next layer. And finally, what is the final layer? That will produce the probability distribution with the help of softmax. And once it produces the softmax, then it will produce the books as the output. Now suppose instead of 4 word, you have 5 word. So then one more time this process will repeat, and here it will produce the probability. Suppose it has 6 word, then it will repeat one more time, and in this part you will produce the probability. You will not consider this, you will not consider this. So in that way you can able to take care full any length of text. So that is the beauty behind the RNN network, right? So any doubt, anyone till this point? Anyone, any doubt till this point? Okay. Now, there is some issues with the RNN network, and one of the biggest issue is the vanishing gradient. What this vanishing gradient is saying, once you have very long text, right? Let's say In the LM task or language modeling task, we have this sentence. When she tried to print her ticket, she found that the printer was out of toner. She went to stationery. She went to a stationery store to buy more toner. After installing the toner into the printer, she finally printed her. Now, what is the answer here? What she tried to print? She tried to print the ticket, right? And this ticket was appear a long time back, a very long time back. Means in case of RNN network, as it is processed multiple times from the activation functions till this is reached here, your information of ticket is already gone. Means there is no way to fetch this ticket information, right? So that is the one big challenge, and this is known as vanishing gradient problem. Once you reach to that level, you already lose the information which is appear a long time back in the sentence, right? So this is the biggest challenge in the language modeling. So how to solve this problem, right? So in order to go little bit deeper into that, this LM task is looking two types: syntactic and sequential. Suppose you have one sentence, the writer of the books. Now what should be the correct answer? Is or? Both are appear as a output. So now if you are looking the syntactic resiliency, right, then it will look into the writer. So is will be the correct. But if you are looking into the sequential recency, then R will be appear because it is looking the recent one, books. So then R will be there. So then it will be incorrect. So means if you have vanishing gradient problem, it will look the recent one. And because of that, it can make the problem. And due to vanishing gradient, sequential recency is much higher because your RNN is able to learn those sequential recency much better way. So now the problem is how we can handle this, how we can solve this, right? So let's again give more thoughts on the vanishing gradient. Suppose you have trained this model, and in order to train this model, you want to update this weight matrix, this weight matrix, this weight matrix. Why we need to update same weight matrix 3 times? Because inputs are changing. So as inputs are changing means you need to update the weight matrix. So once you go to this, in order to update weight here, you have to take the derivative of this j function with respect to this h. Once it reach here, it is already gone. What happened? Once it is the value of gradient is very high here. Once it reach here, it will become low. It will become further low, and once it reach here, it will become very small. So means the update with respect to this input is very low here. So that caused the vanishing gradient problem, right? Once it reach to that signal, so you are back propagate with the time. Once you reach to that signal, by that time your gradient is almost close to zero. So that your impact of input is almost gone. So then the question is how to solve this. In order to solve this problem, they have used long short-term memory, right? So let me represent into the you can say image form. So what this long short-term memory is doing, they have this one single line. This line actually solve the vanishing gradient problem. How exactly it will solve? It will pass the information, but there is no activation involved over there. So once you do the back propagation, it has value, so the gradient is not passing through any activation, so the value will not reduce down. So either it is first input or second input or third input or the last input, both have the a very high gradient value, and once they have the high gradient value, it means they have very high updation as well. So in order to solve this problem, they have done they have produces multiple gates. So one is the forget gate, one is the, you can say here we have output gate, right? And here we have input gate. So these three gates comes into the picture and they make the one single LSTM unit. And this cell, this you can say this cell will write the information. So all the information is carried by this cell, right? So how exactly it will do, because this is a sigmoid value, right? So sigmoid will be 0 to 1. So if a particular word, suppose you have a word hello, and this word is important for that, then it will have the sigmoid output close to 1. But if it is not important for the prediction, then its sigmoid value is close to 0. So once it is close to 0, it means it is not adding anything here. But if it is close to 1, it means it is added to here. And this is the beauty of the forget gate, right? So similarly, once you update the value, once you do the prediction, this information what is carrying from here will be required to produce the output. So in that way, you are able to solve the vanishing gradient problem, right? Now there is another update came for the in the LSTM model. They merge few gates and they combine them together and they produce, like in 2012 they have produced as the gated recurrent unit. So this is like most important part. So once you understand the LSTM model, once you understand the gated recurrent unit, and the most important part, if you want to solve some problem in your own mother tongue language or your a different language, you have to look into the embedding, because once you have the embedding, then all these things will work very well. So that's it for today's talk. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
Sir, please repeat that LSTM model once again.
Okay. So what LSTM is doing, LSTM has forget gate one, that is known as here, that is the forget gate. Then it has input gate and it has a output gate. So the forget gate, what it is doing, and this is, you can say, carry line, information carrying line. What is carrying the information? So what forget is gate is doing, if a particular word is important for this line, or you can say it is important, then the output of sigmoid will be close to 1. So it means that is important, that need to be added in the carrying line, right? Similarly, here we have input gate, right? So input gate will give you, if new information is really important for next information, then it will be added here, right? Now this is the output gate. It will pick the information from this carrying line and try to predict the next value, or you can say next word. That is the output gate. So in that way, it is working like these three gates work together and try to update the information in this information carrying line. And as this information carrying line doesn't contain any activation, means there is no sigmoid here. But in case of RNN, there was sigmoid after every layer. So means your information is compressed down between 0 and 1. But as in this carrying layer, there is no sigmoid, it means there is no compression in the information and your gradient will remain useful till beginning. Yeah, any doubt? Any question from? Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can feel free to drop an email to me, because in the short duration of the time, like 1.5 hours, it is really difficult to like complete the NLP entirely. But I just try to give you the a flow, you can say a feel of that, right? Now if you want to do further, then you can contact to me anytime. My email ID, if you want to note down, vipul.mishra@bennett.edu.in. So feel free to contact me if you have any like if you want to do some collaborative work, please feel free to contact with me. And if you have any doubt, just drop an email to me. So thank you for inviting.
Thank you, sir. Participants, any doubts you have, any questions if you want to ask, or we should wind up? I think no questions. Okay, sir, thank you very much. Your session was really very good. You have given a deep insight to NLP, discussed opinion mining, text mining. Everything was explained very well. And
Thank you.
session was really very good. I hope the participants, even our BTech students, those who are if working into this area, it will be really helpful for them to understand the concept of NLP. I think there is one question, sir.
Yeah.
What's that sigmoid you said about?
Okay, so sigmoid is a function that is the activation function, right? That activation function will compress the information from linear to non-linear unit, and that is widely used either in image processing or text processing or any other domain as well. So that is, you can say, non-linearity. Once you want to introduce the non-linearity, you need to use the activation function, and sigmoid is one of the activation function.
Any other question, participants? I think no more questions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And if you have any doubt, please drop an email to me. Thank
Sir
you.
has given email ID. It is vipul.mishra@bennett.
Edu.in.
Yes, edu.in. So if anybody wants to work into this area, any student wants to work into this area, he or she may contact sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.